O ciclista americano Lance Armstrong jura que nunca tomou drogas para melhorar o desempenho e que nos mais de 500 exames que fez durante a carreira, ele nunca teve resultado positivo. Mas a prova científica mais forte de que ele usava doping veio de um laboratório francês especializado. Foram encontradas evidências claras de eritropoetina, o EPO, em amostras que depois foram identificadas como de Lance Armstrong.
Durante a Volta da França de 1999, que Armstrong venceu, amostras de urina dos atletas foram enviadas para testes neste laboratório nos arredores de Paris.
So, what is this room?
This room is the EPO room. In this room, we perform the anti-doping analysis for EPO.
Naquela época, não havia exame para EPO.
For the EPO test, the test for detection of EPO was developed in this laboratory. So I personally performed the development of this test. And it took a very long time. It took about 6 years to develop this test. And it was ready in 2000.
4 anos depois, como parte da pesquisa do laboratório, mas não como teste formal, as amostras de 99 foram reexaminadas e algumas tinham a droga proibida. 6 amostras dadas por Armstrong continham EPO.
Why was it only revealed years later that these samples belonged to Lance Armstrong?
It was only a coincidence of events. A journalist requested from the cycling governing body, the UCI, to have access to some of Lance Armstrong's doping control forms. The UCI voluntarily gave all of Armstrong's forms from that race to the journalist, who then cross-matched the lab numbers that were on those forms with the samples that had been analysed quite separately by the laboratory, and he was the one that matched the lab numbers to the samples that contained EPO. The lines here are a delineation between...
Mike Ashenden é o ex-especialista independente da UCI que ajudou a desenvolver o exame de sangue de EPO para as Olimpíadas de Sydney.
Which of these samples belongs to Lance Armstrong?
Well, if we go to the doping control form, we see 160297. And that corresponds with this sample here, 160297. And we see that for that sample, there was 100% basic isoforms, which tells us that the system was flooded with synthetic EPO when that sample was provided.
So at what stage in the tour was that taken?
That was the prologue. That was the first day of the 99 tour.
Is there any doubt in your mind that the positive results for EPO were scientifically correct?
Yes, they are scientifically correct.
Do you know whether or not the samples which have been identified...
Quando perguntado sob juramento, Lance Armstrong deu uma explicação diferente.
I can only believe that they either are not mine or have been manipulated, because when I pissed in the bottle, as I told you earlier, having never taken performance-enhancing drugs, when I pissed in the bottle, there was not EPO in that piss or urine.
Lance Armstrong, when he criticized those results, alleged that maybe those samples had been spiked or manipulated. Is there any truth in that?
No, it has no sense, because these analyses were performed for our research.
A União Ciclística Internacional nunca investigou Armstrong após a revelação do L'Équipe de que 6 das amostras continham EPO.
How did the UCI react to these results?
In a way that I feel ashamed of. Rather than open their doors and say, let's try and understand what's going on here inside of our sport, they instead, as far as I could work out, tried to shut the case down.
Should the UCI have acted on those results?
In my view, of course they should have. They had the power to say, all right, you doped, you're out.
Em outra ocasião, a UCI decidiu não agir. Tyler Hamilton alega que em 2001, Armstrong teve resultado positivo para a EPO.
luckily, we had the right people on our side.
Os exames ocorreram durante a volta da Suíça naquele ano. Tyler Hamilton diz que o conselheiro em doping de Armstrong, o médico italiano Michele Ferrari, havia mandado Armstrong tomar microdoses de EPO para garantir que o resultado não desse positivo. A agência antidoping americana diz que Armstrong pagou mais de $1 milhão pelos conselhos do médico, mas naquela ocasião deu errado.
He told me he had a positive test for EPO, which was very surprising because, it seemed like it was foolproof.
My understanding is that a sample had been provided and analysed by the laboratory, and they had found that there was evidence of synthetic EPO in that sample.
A UCI diz que as alegações de Tyler Hamilton são infundadas, mas menos de um ano depois, Lance Armstrong deu um cheque pessoal para a UCI de $25 mil e a empresa dele doou mais de $100 mil em 2005. Sob juramento, a lembrança de Armstrong sobre as doações era vaga.
You have made a contribution or donation to the UCI, have you not?
I have, yeah.
Do you know when that was made?
Some years ago, I don't recall exactly.
2000, for example?
I don't know.
Was it? Was there anything that occasioned that you recall? Like, I'm doing it because of X or Y or Z?
I'm doing it to fund the fight against doping.
For an athlete to be paying money to the people who police him it's unconscionable.
To have somebody who's at the center of the controversy make this kind of a donation to the organization that has the power to sanction him, it sets up an impossible conflict of interest.
No próximo bloco, você vai ver que a omissão da União Ciclística Internacional contribuiu para o aumento dos casos de doping no esporte.